Welcome, ladies and gents. Let's talk Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5. Things started to really heat up, narratively speaking, as well as overall, not just sort of narrative progression, but also action sequences were taking place in this episode, which I wasn't quite expecting. Overall, much better writing than last week's episode. Last week's episode, I lambasted. I really didn't like the writing at all. And this is coming from someone that likes The Mandalorian. And unfortunately, you offer any criticism, people go, you're a hater. Shut up, children. So I really like this episode. Overall, much bigger improvement. Now, we see the Pirate King Shard come back down to Navarro. And he basically begins laying waste to Navarro. Full-blown laying waste. And it's pretty brutal, actually, if you're looking at it from like a visceral, realistic sense. Really brutal. And obviously, because Navarro is an independent planet, it's not under any New Republic protection or anything along those lines, they're a bit screwed, basically. But High Grief Karga, he sends out High Magistrate Grief Karga sends out a distress beacon to the the sort of rangers of the New Republic, basically. And it's interesting because there's an interaction and a discussion where the individual's like, Captain is, okay, so let's send this to Coruscant. We've not had a reply for weeks. And it's interesting to show how, this is literally how the New Republic falls. Because it's swept up in bureaucracy. We've got new systems in place. There's stuff we have to do. It's not a rebellion. And that is the pivot point of their own demise. That is literally how they fall. The fact that they just can't function properly and they're swept up in bureaucracy and nonsense. So the captain goes, right, well, we don't have a reply. I'm just going to go there. They can't ignore me in person. Direct quote. He turns up. And again, it's that, well, no, there are, I'm in requisitions. So what is your request? Well, we need to go help them. No. Well, before it's too late, there's something coming. Before it's too late from the trailer, or when it's here, it'll be too late for you to do anything. And again, it's that bureaucracy element of the New Republic that just led to their ultimate demise at the hands of Moff Gideon, as well as, I would imagine, of course, what would then become the First Order. But that was really cool. I liked that. It's that insight into everything. And you can also see how the female officer from the Empire who was in the last episode, how she's kind of worming her way in. And maybe this is speculation, but maybe that's what they do. They've infiltrated and they begin planting seeds. Because she's like, well, maybe Navarro needs to learn why it should have New Republic protection. And the captain's like, what, by letting them suffer? That's very imperial of you. And then he gets chastised for it. But it's the truth, because it is very imperial. Allowing people to suffer to prove a point as to why they require your protection is nonsense. They're asking for your protection. You offer the olive branch of help to then solidify why they need it. Because without them, they then would have suffered. But it was an interesting sort of parallel there, the opposing sides. But anyway, the captain's hands are tied, so he flies to the covert and the Mandalorians, and he asks them for help. Now, Din Djarin promises them a plot of land, a home, somewhere where they can stay. They're not outcast. They don't have to have a covert. You don't have to live in the sewers anymore, because obviously they were initially in the sewers on Navarro. And that was really cool. And then they organise themselves, militaristic, one unit, boom, boom, boom. They drop down. And that was really nice. You can see them coordinated, actually functioning as they should. And this is the kind of Mandalorians that we like to see. They're not just bounty hunters. They're moving as one singular unit and, highly skilled, trained. And that was nice. I really liked that. But again, pretty brutal. And I really like the armourer in action here. Because at one point, Grief Karga's office is occupied with a massive sort of rail gun going down. And all the Mandalorians are pinned down, and the armorer's there behind him, gets her hammers out, and just starts whacking people all over the place, just cracking skulls. It was great. Now, obviously, the close of that leads to a really interesting element. She summons bo-katan Kryze and tells her to take off her helmet. And she's like, what? And the armorer's like, do you respect my station? Yes. Remove your helmet. And then we learn that the armourer definitely believed bo-katan when she says, I saw a mythosaur. And now the armourer's putting up bo-katan on this pedestal as this individual that has walked both worlds and can unite Mandalore and bring them home so they can take back their home planet. I like it. But it is also still setting up a conflict because one will get the mythosaur, bo-katan. One has the darksaber, Din Djarin. One's a leader by right of getting the darksaber. One becomes a leader by myth and legend by taming the mythosaur. So it's interesting. Then, of course, we close with the captain of the Rangers going out, finding the Imperial class transporter, which we saw in Return of the Jedi, I believe. And it's Moff Gideon, confirmed he did escape, so we will get Moff Gideon coming back. But they are setting up the Mandalorians as the people who freed Moff Gideon. Obviously, it's not going to be them. It will be his stormtroopers, the dark troopers, or whatever they were called, the robotic ones, I would imagine, who saved him. But they're going to set up the Mandalorians. So obviously then the Rangers of the New Republic lay siege to the Mandalorians, and it would probably lead to a big battle on Mandalore, I would imagine, of some description. But it was a really good episode. Overall, the writing was really good. One letdown, and it's very, very minor, and this is just because you have to write it in that way. At one point, when all the Mandalorians are bogged down in the courtyard, after the armorer gets the railgun down, one Mandalorian pops up and just shoots out a grenade, and you'd be like, why didn't you do that before? But that's it. That is literally it. That's the only things I picked up on. Outside of that, it was a very good episode, very enjoyable, and I hand it on over to you. What did you think? Let me know down below in the comments. I don't hate The Mandalorian. I know loads of people do. But to me, I mean, FYI, this episode with the pirates definitely solidifies to me that this is now being catered more towards children. And I say that because initially it wasn't. You remember the first episode of The Mandalorian? That was not a kid's series. The bodies being cut in half through the door, not a kid's series at all. Now it has pivoted round and is becoming more kidified. And I will say, just before we close out this review, this is the influence of Dave Filoni. If Jon Favreau was just solidly in charge of this, I don't think you would have near enough the immature elements and the dumbing down, catering towards children that has now come through. I think it's Dave Filoni because he's got creative prowess now at Lucasfilm. He's been given some creative control of things. They obviously want to eke this out as much as possible and generate as much income as possible, so they're catering it more towards children. To me, it is a big mistake doing that because you're fundamentally changing what has made it a success in seasons past, and the viewership agrees with me because the viewership is on a decline. So, as much as I like this show, that's an important objective truth that has to be acknowledged on this review. But that being said, enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought down below. Cheers, guys. Have a great day. Take care.